Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and we're talking about legacies today. This time it's a little different. I know it's kind of been sad since the finale has aired, but I thought why not do something a little different? So today we're gonna rank the seasons. Not just last time I did seasons 1 of 4, but we're gonna talk about the specific storylines or the chapters within these seasons. And I'm not doing it alone today. I brought my friend Amber along with me, who's gonna be ranking along with me. So heads up, I do not know how long this video is gonna take. We all know from my other videos, I cannot keep time as well as I think I can. But with Amber, there is no telling how long we're going to talk about this, though. But Amber, I want to say hello to everybody.
Hi, my name's Amber.
We,
It's a pleasure.
of course, if anything, if anyone who has been following along, especially with my Legacies videos, Amber and I both met during the screenwriting program that I was taking. It would have been when season 2 would have aired for Legacies, if anyone wants to know a little timeline of when that happened before the whole pandemic thing happened. But before we truly get started and dissect what we're going to do in this video, huge spoiler alerts and disclaimers. Spoiler alert, not only for Legacies itself, if you haven't seen the full series, if you haven't seen episode 420, I suggest you go do that first because there's going to be spoilers in this. And if you know any of my videos, I'm going to not only talk about Legacies, but Vampire Diaries is going to come up. The Originals is going to come up. So huge spoiler for those two shows as well, because I can go on tangents, things to be connected, who knows. So huge spoiler for that. Also, what is shared in this video is going to be either my own personal opinions about these storylines and Amber's own opinions about these storylines. They could be the same, they could be different, but they are our opinions. If they differ from your own, that is great. We'd love to hear why they differ and how they differ in the comment section down below. Also, if we like any particular characters that have done some questionable things, that does not reflect if we would like those same type of qualities in someone in real life. This is just a fantasy world. I feel like I always have to say that when it comes to talking about the Vampire Diaries franchise. So let's just get that out of the way. And I know that Amber is laughing right now because you
Yep.
know that is true.
Yeah.
All right.
There's some
So,
questionable things when it comes to relationships in
yes,
Vampire Diaries.
that is very true in the case. So, what are we going to talk about in this video? So, give everybody a heads up. As I said before, we're going to talk about the different chapters or the storylines featured in the 4 seasons of the of Legacies. I'm about to say Vampire Diaries. In Legacies, there's about 13 of them. These are all thanks to the website Legacies Wiki. Google that. They're the go-to website I go to for anything detail related for this franchise. They're the ones that were labeling these chapters. They also provided the episodes that belong to these chapters that were really helpful in trying to narrow down how exactly these storylines kind of came to be. So link for that website is down below in the description box, but we're going to go through the chapters as we finish a season. We're then going to share with each other our top favorite episodes for each season. Amber prepared her list beforehand. I prepared mine, but we have not shared it with each other. So it'll be very interesting to see if we have the same ones in common or if we have any different ones. So we're going to do that as we go along. We're going to do everything chronologically. And I'm going to be the pink boxes, as you see on screen. Amber is the blue boxes. And we're going to go back and forth and rank them in the 5 categories you see above us. The goal is to only have 3 of each of our colored boxes in each row max, because we actually want to create a list today. So either what we're looking for, rewatch worthy. Amber is going to be, do you like that story enough that you would see episodes in that multiple times? Great. It's kind of like you could do things a little better, but it's still a good quality storyline. Good would be more of like maybe neutral. It's like it's had its good points, but it's like you're still okay with it showing. It had its moments. It could kind of go either way for you. If it's like it was either good, either bad. Don't really know. Meh could either be you forgot about what the storyline was about. You didn't really care for it. It's kind of like that's like your F rating kind of a storyline.
Oh, okay. I had a bunch of those in mind. It's not on a list, but I can think of it. I can think of some episodes like that kind of fit that category. So
Yeah. So if anything, we're going to see if any storylines fit into those categories. So let's start. Let's move on to season 3 is a tricky one, but So the next four for the resurrection chapter, 301 to 304, were originally supposed to be part of season two. So they were supposed to be episode 217 to 220. But of course, everything got pushed back because of production for the pandemic. So now we got stuck with these four at the start of the season. So this is dealing with finding out why Landon wasn't not resurrecting after being stabbed by the golden arrow. Also finding out that Raphael was on his last days because they cut ties with him and the necromancer, who was keeping him alive. We also had the musical episode with them kind of parodying off the history of the Vampire Diaries. And then we had the necromancer having that fight at the high school to gain more power. And because he wanted the dark magic, I believe.
Yeah.
Kind of a little tricky there though, but where would you put this resurrection chapter?
I would say good.
Good for you? All right.
Yeah, because like honestly, there's only like one episode on my list, and that is the musical as number 5. But like
Okay.
I also didn't like I kind of liked how like Landon kind of showed like the good side of Klaus to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That,
that's the reason why I like the episode. It's kind of
mm-hmm.
corny. I don't really like episodes like that. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing like an opportunity for like the school to see that Klaus is, a
Mm-hmm.
good guy,
Yeah.
is why I liked it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think for me, I'm gonna have to put it in. It has its moments. I know it's gonna be moving. I know I'm gonna be shifting things later,
yeah, I think so. I'm gonna probably shift it to like,
but for
yeah,
now, it's going there just because musical was good callback wise of all the things for like what you wanted and just seeing their perspective on what happened on the Vampire Diaries was kind of funny. Um, Also, I remember 302 was Raphael's goodbye. That had me in tears because at that point I wasn't sure like was he actually leaving the show because it was supposed to be the end of season 2 or it was in season 3 but he was in so much promotion for season 3 so it's like is he still staying, but he had a good send off the way that he did. And then
I was so
304
sad. I was so sad.
wasted potential I feel like for
Yeah,
Raphael, but at least they didn't kill him off. At least he got to be in the prison world of his own making with his parents.
I feel like they like let go of a lot of good characters.
Yeah, prematurely, but it's not enough for, even though like half of them are part of my top 5, it's not enough for me to go further up in the
Yeah,
casting for it. But it's just tricky because this is also what was supposed to be the end. I'm wonder if I would feel any differently if it actually aired when it was supposed to and not as like the beginning of like season 3. Like, if it was meant
I
to be the end of season 2, but we won't know. But I'm wondering if that would have changed how I
I feel like it would
viewed
have
it.
been I feel like season 2 would have been a lot better if it ended with that chapter in the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to think about like originally when it was written out the summer before the pandemic, they had all 4 chapters as the attended season 2. That was how originally the season was supposed to end, was with the necromancer attacking the high school and then whatever. Like I don't even remember how that ended. I just remember that was Alyssa Chang's last episode. I remember that
Right.
the necromancer got his powers maybe, but I don't really fully know where everybody ended off because I knew, or maybe Landon wasn't hadn't returned
Hmm.
because the next chapter dealt with Hope grieving over Landon.
Yeah.
So like for outside from that, it's like I don't really remember it as within season 3, but I feel like as season 2, I probably would have remembered it a bit more because that's where you would have left me off as kind of.
I'm gonna push it back to it had its moments. It wasn't good. The chapter was not like good, but it had like, the Ralph,
Okay.
moment.
Yeah. We're at full capacity right now for it. It had its
Oh
moments.
God.
So we'll see where that moves. So
I'm
next,
surprised we haven't gone down to meh yet.
oh, I know we're getting there soon, for me at least personally. But the next chapter is the Landon chapter, which is 305 to 310. So 6 episodes. This would have been how we started the season 3 originally if COVID wasn't an issue. This one was dealing more with Landon not being at the school. So this is when he was stuck inside Malivore and trying to find a way out, and then dealing with the necromancer,
I
trying
kind of
to.
like those moments.
Okay, so that's good. So that's like them trying to find new students. We got the pink gremlin situation. We had the idea of the prison world hunter uh roaming around, because eventually Landon was meant to end up in the prison world. We got the banshee. We got a little bit more therapy box situation going on as well. But where would you put that? If it had its moments, would you put it in it had its moments, or would you move
Yeah,
things?
yeah, I would probably, hold on, let me check my list to see if it's even like good. Wait, we're still on season 3, right? Okay.
305
Mm,
to 310 is the episode. While you're looking over that, I'm going to put that it's a meh for me, just because I have none of my top fives in that.
yeah, but we see in episode 9, we see Elena's house.
Pink Gremlin. We don't see Elena though.
I know.
Like that was just like a small. At least they got mentioned more, but like that's it. Like I'm surprised they even included the house, but it was nice that Alar got to make note of it. But
There was like this,
not enough for me to remember
yeah.
it though.
I remember there was this whole like theory that like Nina was gonna like do a cameo in Legacies because she, I think, was caught um on set with Legacies. I can't remember.
Oh,
I don't remember, but like
that would have been interesting.
I'm pretty sure. But like yeah, I think everyone was like had this theory that she was gonna have a cameo. And when I saw Elena's house, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be it. This is gonna, confirm all our theories. Um, but yeah, I think it's yeah, for what you say, like mm. And we have we in episode 5 we have like theory box like the
Summer camp
therapy
killer.
box.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Kind of liked it. But yeah, it's
So
meh for me.
meh for you. All right.
Yeah. Now looking at it, just like could have been a lot more potential.
I feel like they spent too much time in it. Again, that's six
That's true.
episodes that you
That's
don't
true.
need. So now we have.
They could have like they had potential to like be good, but also like not fill in a lot of fillers that they
Mhm.
had for that chapter. And I felt like that chapter had a lot of fillers.
Yeah,
Because
for
they
sure.
prolonged like, oh my God, the story of Mallow where they kept prolonging that, like, holy shit.
Mhm.
Ugh.
So
Yeah, I
then
kind of got bored.
moving from that though, then we have the Cleo chapter. Of course, Cleo
Yeah.
got introduced in episode 306 with the new students coming into it. Also now realizing it, there was 3 new students, but they completely forgot the third student. Like they never brought it. There was the friend of Wade's who
Yeah.
they never showed her. I just realized that like what happened to her. But anyways, so for Cleo's chapter from 311 to 316, this is where first we find out Cleo created a duplicate of Landon with her clay to kind of get Hope's mind off of it, while also trying to kill Hope to make her become a tribrid because she wanted to kill Malivore and end her own suffering from him trying to chase after her. We got the Star Wars episode, and then we got Malivore actually being in Landon's body this whole time. Is
Yep.
how the season was supposed to end, or I guess it is where it technically does end, but it's not actually where it was supposed to. But we'll talk about that after. But where would you put the Cleo chapter?
I would say, because my top two are the ones where like where it's Landon comes back and then you have the fake Landon, the clay,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, I would say good for now. Good.
Good. All right.
Because I just really like, you know, those episodes. with Landon, him coming back, and then you have like two Landons. It's like, and then Hope finds out like, oh, this is not the real Landon because Landon is allergic to avocados.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
vaguely
how she
remember that
found
one.
out.
Yeah.
That's how she
Okay.
found out that Landon wasn't Landon because he was not like reacting to avocados because he's allergic to avocados, and that's when she trapped him and he couldn't escape, and that's when she kind of also confirmed like everyone's theory and her theory that he was, supernatural and
All
like
right.
a golem.
True. So you have yours set in good. So that means
Yeah.
you have two in good. I have two in good. So for me, I'd probably put the Cleo chapter. See, that's a tricky one because Cleo chapter, I feel like it was too long than it needed to be, but it does
Hmm.
have half of them being part of my top five.
Yeah. That's
So I feel like at the moment, I'm gonna also have to put it at no, I am gonna put it at great. Just because my reasoning is no, I'll go into the reason why I put it in great when we talk about my favorites, because that covers it there. Well,
you're gonna put it in great? Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna put it in great. So I have two in great right now. So I'm I'll start off then with the top five because it kind of connects to the Cleo chapter. But
Hmm.
my favorite has to be 315 because it was the Star Wars parody dream. And
Really? You like that one?
it's odd because like I'm not a Star Wars fan, but what I
Yeah.
liked about it forced Hope, Lizzie, and Josie to reflect back on their childhood together, and we got to see Little Hope again, played by someone from Canada.
Right.
We got to see her play Hope Mitchell, and I think that's what I really like because it forced them to reflect on what their relationship was like back then when she first started going at the school, which was like 7 years ago for them, and to really acknowledge like how they've different from each other or how they've differed now from back then. And that's what I really like because it was drawing back on a lot of what was already established on the originals 513 when it or not 513 512 when it was the backdoor pilot, and a little bit of just seeing a familiar face again because there's no way otherwise we would have seen both versions of Hope interacting with each other because otherwise
Yeah.
it would have just been a flashback. So that was just a nice surprise there. So that's why it was my number one. Number two was 312, which was the episode again in the Cleo chapter where we found out that Landon was actually a clay golem, and it was finding out that Cleo's the one who created him, why she created him, and that whole fight between Hope and Cleo and Clay Golem. I think it's also the same episode where it was revealed that the warrior from the prison world, was also the Landon. Like it was supposed to be believed that it was the real Landon all the time, which I always assumed, but I never assumed that it was actually Malivore pretending to be Landon, pretending to be the prison world warrior.
Episode 12?
Yeah, I think it was that same one because I remember thinking in that episode that like my theory was correct all along at the
No, no,
time.
no, I don't. No, it's not that episode because episode 13 is where Hope finds out that real Landon, or so she thinks it's real Landon, is finally back. But then we later find out that Landon, the real Landon, is just
No,
Malador.
that's episode 11 when she was the creature, the Burbalang creature. That was episode 11 because episode 13 was specifically Cleo's backstory.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because episode 12 they have to have captured Cleo because in 13
Yeah.
that's when they're asking like are you a friend or are you a foe, and that's when we learn about her origin story.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying like I'm talking about Landon if we like find out that he's Malivore. Because you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, no, there's two times. So episode 12 was when we found out that Landon wasn't Landon, but he was a clay version of Landon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's in 12. In
Yeah.
16 is when we find out that the Landon we thought came back in episode 12 as the warrior was actually Malivore this
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah.
So Landon has many different faces. He's probably the only like Arya had to play so many different versions of this character while pretending to be
Mhm.
other different versions of this character. Like he probably had the most fun just playing it up a little bit
Oh
different.
my God, I know. I was like, God, I wish I was on the set just to kind of like see it in
See the
person.
yeah.
Oh, that
But
would be so much fun.
so speaking of that though, episode 316 was my number three because of the reveal that Landon was actually Malivore this whole time. And it was still, he still played it as if he was Landon. Like I didn't suspect that it was Malivore, even though I knew it at some point Malivore would have to possess Landon. Just from all,
Mhm.
because I remember thinking that whole chapter is like I kind of wish we got to see Landon talk about being stuck in the prison world alone and being that prison world warrior. But then when we found out that it was Malvar, it's like, okay, no wonder we didn't get that because Landon didn't actually stay in the prison world as a prisoner. He's been a prisoner inside Malivore this whole time. So
Mhm.
that was the interesting part for me. And then 302, which was Raphael's goodbye, was my fourth one on the list. Again, for him getting his final send off, but also being reunited with his parents. That was the reason why I probably got very emotional in that episode. And
Yeah.
then the musical episode 303 was my fifth episode favorite, of just from the callbacks, and they had decent voices. And then
Oh.
I kind of wish that Klaus showed up, but it was a great tribute the way they did it. So yeah, but those are my top five for season three. But what about you?
My number one would be episode 12. Is
Okay.
when Hope finds out that Landon isn't Landon but a golem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's where we like just the whole you think they're together, but then oh fuck, it's like not him, and that kind of like pisses you off, but at the same time it kind of like is very interesting.
Reaffirms you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And then
reaffirms you that you weren't mistaking things or you weren't misremembering things, and you were actually noticing those little seeds.
yeah, and it does like make sense, like the way he acted
Mm-hmm,
towards a Hope. He was just too perfect.
mm-hmm.
And they do like say that like, he's just too perfect. Um, yeah. So the second one would be episode 13, uh, where Hope finds that the real Landon, well, obviously it's not the real Landon, but she thinks it's the real Landon, is finally back from the prison world, and he's been back this whole time. Um, and that's like at the same time the golem was created and like presented himself to Hope. Yeah, and then my fifth would be Hope goes through the therapy box. But now that you mentioned episode 16, where we find out um, Landon is Malivore,
Mm-hmm.
I would push that, I would push that and like put number 16 as my third one.
Okay.
Would I? Yeah, I would probably take out episode 9 where we see Elena's house as the fourth one and replace it with the episode 5, because even though we have a cameo of Elena's house, it's a really great like nostalgic
Mm-hmm.
scene to see from like episode from Vampire Diaries, and kind of reminiscing on like the memories and the scenes that we've seen in Vampire Diaries. But even then, I would just push that, like take that away and put episode 16 now that you mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. So then
Oh, sorry, I would
what's
put
number five
16.
then?
I'm
What's number
sorry, I
five
would
then?
put 16 in third,
Mm-hmm.
and then push episode 5 and replace it
To four.
um in fourth. Yeah.
So what's fifth then?
Fifth, I have it as the musical
Gotcha. Okay.
because of how they captured Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
He's still like he kind of presented Klaus as like a good guy, like Landon with the play. Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone thinks like every student thought that he was like the bad guy. There's literally a book on him being like the ultimate evil. But then
Mm-hmm.
in this musical, like it kind of gave hope that the students can finally see him as like a good guy, the way that Hope did. So that's why I like that episode.
I agree. I agree. So here's the tricky part, because season four, the first four episodes, it's called the end of Malivore chapter. These were supposed to be the end of season three episodes. So here's the thing though. We can understand why the 4 episodes from the end of season 2 got pushed to season 3 because it was an unexpected production delay with COVID
Yeah.
first starting.
Yeah.
But going in to writing season 3, would you not account for that fact and just write it so you fit the original 4 into now your new 12 episodes?
Yeah.
Why would you write for new 16 episodes only for the 4 to then be pushed back to season 4?
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they put a lot of filler, thinking that
Mhm.
it's good, like, springboard ideas,
Yeah.
um, to get like the audience to keep wanting to watch the, the show and to kind of wanting to see season 4. But honestly, I felt like season 4 could have been like season 3, like, and take
Mhm.
some of the episodes from season 3 and taken out, like, at all,
Yeah.
like, away, and then we could have had that potential season 5 if it was
Mhm.
kind of formatted that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit. Because I know when watching the end of Malivore chapter, episode 401, 402, 403, I didn't really have a need for any worry because I knew there's the remaining of season 4. I know I would have worried if this actually occurred at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
But because this didn't occur when the pandemic first started, this was a year later. I'm kind of wondering, why would you not then just plan and attribute and just say, hey, we just want to actually stop at 16 episode, regardless of the 4 we had to push in, and end it where 404 ended up being, which is with the big fight between Tribe and Hope and Malivore, and end it there. Because I feel like, and then just actually start with season 4 with a bit of a time jump, with Hope having no humanity and then having
Yeah.
Rebecca come in. Because then it's like, when I watched 404, it was a great ending to a really long Malivore story. But it's like
Yeah.
I didn't feel any urgency because I knew, oh, I'll get my answers next week, because that's when the next episode, or the next 2 weeks when the next episode came out. It wasn't me waiting a full summer to
Yeah.
know what happened after she turned off her humanity.
Yeah. And wasn't season 3 where we find that, like, Wade was like a fairy?
I think so. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it, it was on the no wait, it was season 2,
Oh.
because it was Coven Day. It was episode 210,
Yeah.
Coven Day, when he was trying to figure out which coven he would go to. Now that you mentioned it, they didn't do much about that with Wade. It was only just
Exactly.
that one episode, and I'm like, you could have done so much more with it, but only him and Landon were the only ones of their species, but you never fully dived into what it was they do. But then they never
Yeah.
really fully go into what it meant to be a werewolf at the school, or what it meant to be a vampire at the school. You only had your standard placeholders, and that was it. And then Hope,
Yeah.
she's in all 4, or she's in all 3. So it's like, why would you not focus on her being in all 3 factions? And
You could
why is
have,
it solely witches,
yeah,
right?
you could have had, like, they could have, like, dealt with that kind of idea that she kind of doesn't fit anywhere because she's all 3 and everyone thinks like she's a freak and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
They could have played with that more and kind of see her kind of being an outcast and her dealing with it. Like, we can all obviously tell, like, she does feel like an outcast because of who her father is,
Mm-hmm.
um, but mainly because of who her father is, not because she's a tribrid.
Yeah. I feel like, for the fact that the school is supposed to be I think that's what took away from the monster element, was the fact that you took away from the core focus of what the students were, and trying to figure out what it means for them to be these creatures. And then you're just now putting more of the focus on the main monsters. Whereas I suppose if they did it with the regular serialized format that Vampire Diaries and the originals were, could have just picked one of these monsters to be the main season focus, for them to now come together and figure out what kind of powers they can do and what can they do with their limitations to combat and fight. Like, kind of what they did with the god with Ken at the very end, which we'll
Yeah.
talk about later, where they had a singular focus in trying to figure out how they could best attribute their supernatural skills to fight against it. I feel like they
Yeah.
should have done that in the earlier seasons to
and
focus on
and
that.
it could have, like, if they'd done that, it could have, like, they could have had the opportunity to kind of work more with the characters arc, with a bunch of characters that we kind of have, like a snippet of, like, their personality,
Yeah.
And then it's gone, like kind of like Wade with the fairy,
Hmm.
and like Landon with, being a phoenix, but never really kind of understanding how his
Yeah.
origins come to be. Because
Yeah.
we all know that he's Malivor's father, but at the same time, it really doesn't make sense how he's a phoenix,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
that's very
know?
true. Like I know like there's some theories it was the Malvor eating a bunch of creatures and it's the mix of DNA that kind of caused it, but at the same time it's like, but you need a phoenix though somewhere. It didn't just it's not an amalgamation of characters or creatures.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice to know a little bit more about his powers. But that's the end of part 3 of our ranking storylines journey for Legacy. So this is editor Mel interrupting the original recording. As I stated before, at the end of part 1 and part 2, the original recording with Amber ended up being 2.5 hours long. And originally, it was all supposed to go up at once, but I figured it might be a bit much to sit through all in one go. So I decided to split it up in 4 parts. I actually, while editing this part, just because where I interrupted, we actually go straight into season 4 because we touch on the 4 episodes from season 3 that got pushed into season 4. So I was actually debating whether or not just combining season 3 and season 4 together, but I thought I already said I was going to do 4 parts. Let's stick to 4 parts. Plus, it's quite a bit already. Like the season 3 video was getting quite a bit, and from the looks of it, there is still a lot from season 4. So I figured might as well split it up now as I can. And so you guys can come back to see where the final ranking of all the seasons are. As it stands right now, it looks like we still have one each in rewatch worthy. We have two each in both good and great, and we both are maxed out at it at its moments. And we both have something in the meh category at this point. So we did see some shifting going on. Um, and we did spread out our viewpoint a little bit more. So it'll be very interesting to see because of how close we are to maxing out on quite a few categories, just where we move the final 4 storyline chapters, where we put them, and how that affects everything else. So that's something to look forward to in the final part 4 video that we have. But otherwise, what did you guys think of season 3 and the storylines? Did you think everything that got pushed back unexpectedly by the pandemic, do you think that changed your viewing experience about the storylines for season 3? Please let us know in the comments down below. We love to know your own rankings for the season 3 storylines, as well as what your top 5 favorite episodes were. We'd love to know if they match with what me and Amber had, if they differed in any way. We're really interested to see what drew you to those specific storylines or to those favorites. Because I hope as you've been watching, me and Amber have very different viewpoints, but we do come together at specific points of where we had our favorites or where we had our not so favorite moments of the season. So we'd love to hear what you guys thought about that as well in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Um, I have a Legacies playlist. It should be linked up on screen already, which will have everything Legacies related. If you want to go check out Vampire Diaries and the originals as well, I do have those playlists up as well too. Also, notification bell. I would say to turn that on just so that you're notified when part 4 of this ranking journey is released and you're up to date to find out what those final ranking positions are for me and Amber. It's quite something for sure. I definitely didn't expect where my answers ended up lying in the very end. So it's very cool to go through this whole experience. So I hope you guys tune in to just see how it all ends, really. My Tumblr and my WordPress links are down in the description box below if you want to follow me there. I do have to update them, like I've said before. I just got to find a date to dedicate to those 2 websites when I upload, like a mass upload kind of a thing. Um, but yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. Also, if you guys are just liking this types of video, not only with the ranking in general, but like me being talking to someone and having an actual conversation, and not just me talking to myself, and you guys being willing listeners to just my solo ramblings. But if you guys want need me to bring on more people, if you want me to have more conversations with Amber as we record about certain shows, please let us know and let me know in the comments down below. Um, I know in the first video we no, we haven't talked about it actually. It's actually in our outro and final outro of the recording. So I'll leave it there because Amber's a part of that as well too. So tune in for part 4 for that one. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Please stay safe. Until then, bye for now.